What's going on, fishy friends? Rich here, Rich's Fishes, and I decided I'd sit down and just have a little one-on-one chat with everybody. I want to give yet another big thank you to all my subscribers, old and new. It's not even the end of February 2017 right now, and I had set a New Year's resolution, a goal, if you will, for my YouTube channel at the beginning of this year. I had about 3,500 subscribers at that time, and I thought what was an ambitious goal was to say that I wanted to double my subscribers by the end of 2017. Well, I've already broken 7,000 subscribers before the end of February, which blows my mind that so many of you are so interested in watching what I do and listening to me talk and essentially seeing me talk to myself in my own fish room as I look at fish and take care of my tanks and kind of learn as I go along. So that is freaking awesome. So I guess I'm going to pack it up and I'll see you guys next year, right? All right, bye. What? Oh, I got to keep going for the rest of the year? Oh, okay. If you say so. I guess I'll keep doing it for the rest of the year. Might as well, right? Just because I reached my goal doesn't mean I should just pack it up and go home. I don't think I'm going to bother setting another goal for the year because my expectations were literally blown away in the past couple of weeks, and this is freaking awesome. So thank you all again. But that got me watching a couple of more things on YouTube, trying to learn a little more about YouTube in general and how some of this stuff works behind the scenes, which is another fascinating topic to talk about and learn about. But it's got me watching a few more things, and I'm amazed at how much bad information is out there on YouTube. Not just in this hobby, but in general. But I tend to focus more on things relating to aquatics in general, you know, and fish tanks and things like that. There's a lot of bad information and bad channels out there. I don't want to go and pinpoint any one specific person. I'm not looking to start wars or start fights or anything. What I am looking to do is to remind everybody out there, even viewers of my own channel, because I'm not infallible. I can definitely make mistakes. I'm sure I have made mistakes. We all make mistakes. It's part of being human. It's part of being alive. It's part of learning and becoming, I don't even want to say an expert, becoming better at whatever it is you're trying to learn, whatever hobby you're trying to get involved in. And part of my rant here is that you should always question these things that you hear, especially on YouTube. Nobody verifies this information. There's no test you have to take before you're allowed to turn a camera and point it at yourself and spew out information as if you're the world's smartest, insert whatever field here. It's amazing how much bad information people spew out there as if it were fact, as if someone's done the scientific research and the experiments to prove one way or another. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people out there that are doing that work and are busting their butt trying to make sure they get you relevant information. Then there are other people who just seem to spout off at the hip, and it seems that people believe them without ever questioning or even trying any of these things themselves. It's just amazing to me. I try very hard not to present something as fact if I don't know it as fact. There's a lot of things that I do in this hobby specifically because I've done it one way for a long time, specifically because I've been given that advice by other people who have had success with it before. That definitely doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. It doesn't even mean it's the right way to do it. But I try really hard not to present something as fact if I don't know it as fact. And please correct me if you ever see me doing that. But I always try to express what I believe to be an opinion, what I don't know for sure one way or another, but perhaps have had luck with anyway. I'm drawing a blank here on specifics, but it truly amazes me how many bad channels and bad information are out there and how popular some of these things seem to be. There seems to be a want to believe someone who has a popular channel, who has a big following, who have a lot of comments, who have a lot of subscribers. Just because you have 1 million subscribers doesn't make you an expert at something. I don't know why people tend to believe larger channels more so than smaller channels sometimes. And conversely, there's a lot of good information on small channels that I feel like it was overlooked because a passerby, so to say, someone who just signs onto YouTube and stumbles upon a channel who has 100 subscribers, could be the most informed person in the world with that channel, but because they only have 100 subscribers, their information isn't valuable in this community for some reason. I wish there was a way to correct that and fix that, and I wish everyone would just take a second and think about the information that's provided, and remember who it is on the other side of the camera providing it. I'm no expert. I try to show people my mistakes as I go, and hopefully some people can learn from that. Some people might see what I do and go, that is exactly what not to do. I'm not doing that. And that's fine. If you want to try it a different way, that's fine too. I just encourage you not to go out and present it as A, fact, and B, the one and only way to do something. Water changes come to mind. Some people do water changes every day. I do water changes almost every day on most of my discus tanks. This discus tank here, that discus tank there. I aim to do 50% water changes daily. Even my discus tanks around the corner over there. Conversely, my German blue ram tanks over there, I do much smaller water changes, much less frequently, because I find they like the stable conditions a little bit better and don't necessarily need as pristine conditions as the German blue rams do. My cherry shrimp tank, I maybe do a 10% water change once a week or even less than that. I would never think of doing such infrequent water changes on my discus tanks. Does that mean that's the only way to do it on a cherry shrimp tank? No. Does that mean the only way it's to do it on a discus tank? Absolutely not. But that is the way I do it, and that's what I like showing everybody what I do. But you get some people talking about how water changes are awful, water changes are good. Oh, I did a water change and killed all my fish, so you should never do that. I don't care if that's what you did. It's interesting to hear it, but don't present it as fact. And don't take it as fact if you're watching these things. Question everything. Experiment yourself. This is all a big science experiment. That's the conclusion I've come to. That this hobby is essentially one giant science experiment. Be it in one glass box, 30 glass boxes, a little glass box, a big glass box, a round box, a square box, a rectangular box, an acrylic glass box. It's all the same thing in the end. It's a big science experiment. It's trying to recreate a natural habitat in a glass box. And just like in nature, things are different based on location, based on time of year, based on so many different, I'm drawing a blank for the word I'm looking for here, variables. And sometimes you can get to the same result via two different paths. It's possible, no matter what anybody on YouTube might tell you. But just sort of take that to heart when you guys are watching my video or anybody else's. Remember, there's very few of us on YouTube who are really experts in the field. If we were experts in the field, we'd probably be using a medium other than YouTube, and or you'd know about it somehow somewhere else. So, I don't know. I going off on tangents here, and my whole intent was just to thank everybody for watching and blowing away my expectations. So let me know if you have any ideas for what my new goal for the rest of the year should be. Like I said, I don't necessarily want to set a new goal for subscribers. I've got some personal goals that I want to reach, some things that I want to see happen on my channel, some of which are solely in my control, and some of which I have zero impact on whatsoever. I'm trying to learn a lot more about this YouTube algorithm. If anyone does make videos and has spent any time researching it, it's like a magic unicorn. Nobody really understands it. Some people claim they do. Sort of similar to what I'm talking about with the aquatic hobby. There's plenty of people out there that say, here's the formula, here's what you do, this is what works, this is what doesn't work. There's no set formula. Doesn't really matter. And just like with fish keeping, there is no set formula. And that goes for so many different aspects in life. Take water testing, for example. A year ago, I would have told you that it is so very important to test water in almost every fish tank as often as possible. Kind of taking a slightly different approach to that now. I haven't picked up my test kit in months and months and months. I do want to do a video soon comparing liquid test kits versus the paper strips. There's another thing that all the experts would tell you. Oh, the test strips, the paper strips, they don't work. They're not nearly accurate enough. They don't give you quite as much detail as the liquid test does. I don't know. If you don't grab both and try it yourself, do you ever really know? Do you really want to believe that guy in Podunk, whatever town in the world, who just happened to turn on a camera and tells you, this is the only way to do it, this liquid test is the absolute best, and you're an idiot for doing anything else? I'm an idiot for doing anything else? Thanks, I guess. Keep that in mind next time. That's another thing about YouTube and the internet in general. How many people talk down to others for no good reason? And when you call them out on it, you know, most people are usually pretty nice at heart. Some people are just scumbags, and you're not going to change that. You're not going to change anybody's attitude on YouTube or in the world via politics or religion or anything like that. I hate talking about that kind of stuff, and I really try not to on this channel. I hate seeing it pop up in the comments. I hate when little arguments pop up in the comments. One person bashes another. oh, you don't do this right, no, you don't do this right, well, I say this, but he said that, and blah, 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 blah. So, I suppose that's the end of my rant as I sit in front of some of the discus and see what's up. I actually just went around and medicated all the tanks in the fish room. It's been something I've been planning to do for quite a while. I use that API General Cure and the API EM erythromycin. Finally said that word on the first try. That is a tongue twister for sure. Looking over there at some of the German blue rams. I recently shot the video where the German blue rams over there in that tank spawned, and I tried to artificially rear the eggs. That dip and pour container with the too far. The dip and pour container is over there with the eggs still in it, but they don't necessarily look fungus over. However, I'm not sure if they were fertilized. They have turned white, and I don't have the highest hopes for them anymore, unfortunately. But we'll try again. Like I said, science experiment, right? This is a different method than I've ever tried before. I've always let the fish try to parent and raise the eggs into wigglers and fry and the various stages, so on and so forth. This was the first time I tried to artificially rear any eggs. Something I've said I've wanted to try with my discus before, and it's something I've said I've wanted to try with the German blue rams before, and I gave it a try, and I think I will continue to try it. And there's a couple of different methods that I'm trying to learn about from some different people, taking some advice from some other breeders who have had success in the past, seeing what works for some people and what doesn't for others. And I'm going to keep trying it this way with these specimen containers or the dip and pours or whatever you want to call them. But now I got to wait for the fish to do their thing and lay some more eggs. I'm not going to dispose of the eggs that are on that stone in the dip and pour right now. I would have probably in the past, but what keeps coming back to me in the back of my mind is Mike from Michael's Fish Room, who has had some luck with some angelfish eggs that he artificially rears. He does it a little different than the method I'm trying. He uses a separate tank altogether. But I've heard him comment multiple times how he thought a batch of eggs were going to produce 0 wigglers and 0 fry because all the eggs turned white and or fungused over. And lo and behold, a couple of days later, Mike looks at the tank and he's got some wigglers down there. So I'm not going to get rid of them quite yet. I think I'm past the point where anything good would have happened. So I don't have the highest hopes. But sometimes when I don't have high expectations, that's when the best things happen. And I think my New Year's resolution is a good example of that. Maybe I didn't set my sights high enough for my expectations of the year, considering how quickly I reached that goal. So yeah, I do still have some personal goals. I do have some things that I want to implement in this channel and just in my hobby in general. Maybe sort of expand Rich's Fishes. Kind of leave it like that. One of these days. If anybody's watched my videos for a while, I'm very slow to implement things. I'm a thinker, maybe to a detriment, but I go through these things in my head. Renovating the fish room, for example. How long have I been talking about that? And I've not even put pen to paper and done a design or anything like that yet. In my head, the design has changed 2 or 3 times already in the past couple of months. I harken back to before I ever got my first tattoo. How long I thought about what tattoo I might want and how many different ideas I went through in my head, and how glad I was I didn't get certain ideas, because it was something I might have enjoyed in a very, very, very small portion of my life. And had I permanently marked myself with that, I would have regretted it. So I like to really think and analyze what I'm going to do, especially if it involves me. I mean, if it's solely my baby, so to say, as this fish room is, I'm the one who has to make that choice. I'm the one who has to decide which way I want to go with it. I'm the one who knows the ins and outs of my limitations personally, my limitations insofar as real estate and the space I have in here, limitations in that I know if I do one thing, I'm preventing myself from doing another thing. Could be as simple as just I won't be able to fit something else in, or I can't store something else. But I also think about the physical work involved in doing it, because I'm going to have to build all these new racks, and I'm a very hands-on kind of guy. I like to learn anything I can. I like to try to immerse myself with as much knowledge as possible, and learn as much as I can about certain things, and be able to do a lot of this stuff myself, from building a tank stand to potentially figuring out the plumbing for an automatic water change system, to figuring out how I'm going to add an extra zone to my home's heating system so I can heat the fish room. expanding the central air system that I've previously installed in this room. Now I'm going back and forth on whether or not I should rip out everything I previously installed and start over from scratch, or if I should just expand what I had done in the past. And I argue with myself mentally, you know. A part of me says, that's the right way to do it. Another part of me says, maybe this is a better way to do it. Then I got to sit there and draw stuff out sometimes, and eventually I just got to dive into it and do it. And more often than not, with almost any project I do, in the fish hobby, in my personal life, and anything like that, I come up with a set plan in my mind, and once I start working, I realize I hadn't thought of something that's going to affect the end result. So I got to change the plan midway as I go, and a lot of the time on the fly. Sometimes that'll then cause me to approach the next project in my life differently, and maybe I won't plan so much because I think back to, geez, you spent so much time planning out this project, and as soon as you made the first cut on a piece of wood, you realized why that plan wasn't going to work, and you had to go and change it on the fly as it is anyway. So then the next project maybe won't be so planned out, and I'll regret not planning it out because it takes me much longer than it should because I didn't have a plan. And then the project after that, I'll plan out again. But, you know, mentally, it just takes me a long time before I decide this is definitely the route I want to go, and now I'm ready to pull the trigger and do it. Not to mention my physical ability and being tired and worn out from doing other work. The thought of having to break down all these tanks just to be able to move them, to drain them, empty the inhabitants, pull out the substrate, pull out the plants in certain tanks just so I can move a tank from here to here. So now I can build a rack over here, then put a different rack over here, and now that tank goes right back to where it was. The amount of work involved in doing that is tiring. I'm sore just thinking about it. So once I start thinking about that, then I think, well, geez, I better not start until I'm ready. I better not start until I have a complete plan. And then it takes me a very long time to come up with that plan. So sooner or later, things will get implemented. Rich's Fishes will grow. Rich's Fishes fish room will grow. I'll probably keep growing, keep eating, keep growing. You know, that happens as you get older. What are you going to do? Anyway, guys, I'm rambling on forever. And I don't even remember what I started talking about. How many minutes ago? 17 minutes ago? 17 minutes. That went quick. All right, guys, I'm out. Comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Follow Rich's Fishes on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. I'm really not liking Facebook, guys. I don't see the allure. I don't see how it's so popular. Like I've said recently, I spent my whole adult life avoiding Facebook, and I decided I was going to start a Rich's Fishes page on Facebook, and I did. And I do not put much effort into it because I don't know. Maybe I'm too old to enjoy it now. I'm one of those old fogies that can't understand what you kids and your technology and your Tweety birds and your facey spaces and you whippersnappers and rah, 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 rah. Anyway, I'll keep using it, but I'm amazed how popular it is. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Later.